So we are at lab 5. So the goal for this is to insert images on an HTML web page, and then we're also going to make our images act as links. So this is kind of what we're looking at. We're looking to make a main page that has a couple of headings and images that you can click on to go to different news stories, quote unquote. And these are old news stories, but they'll do the trick. So the first thing you'll want to do is download the following root folder. So go ahead and download that, and of course feel free to follow along. Let me just delete these ones from the last tutorial. So you'll see lab 5, and you can just double click to open it, or if you're on Windows you might have to right click and uncompress. But this is the root folder that we're going to be working in. We have our index page, we have 3 other HTML pages that we're going to link to, our story 1, story 2, and story 3, and then we also have an image folder with our different images inside it. And of course I made sure to rename these images. Each of them should already be named in your folders when you download this, but they're all lowercase with no special characters, just to make it easier for our code to read them. So you want to start by formatting the index page. So right now, if we look at it, this is what it looks like. It's just a couple of bits of text. We have no images, no headings. And we're going to open this in Visual Studio Code. You'll see I already have the essential code in here. I have my opening and closing HTML, opening and closing heading. I've already got a title in here for the metadata. And then we have our body, and this is everything that's going to be displayed, is what's inside the body. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is swap out the p tags for heading tags so that these are actually displayed as headings. So we want the top one to be a heading 1 and then the other ones to be heading 2s. So the first one I'm just going to swap out the p's for h1s, and if we save it, you'll see now we have a nice big h1 at the top. And then we want to make each of these ones h2s, so we're just surrounding the text with h2s instead of p tags. So now we've got some nice headlines. Alright, so now we want to insert the images and format them to a width of 500 pixels each. So under each of these headlines we want to put an image, and I'm just going to make some space so that it's easier for us to see it. So first I'm going to make my image tag here, and then we need to, inside this, set a source, a file path to find the image. So source equals, and then let's look in our folder. There's a subfolder from index. We have to tell it to look into images and then find the image. So images slash, and then the first one is going to be engagement. Alright, and then we want to give this a width, still inside our image tag, but a width of 500 pixels. Then we're going to do the same thing for this one. So underneath the next heading we're going to say image, and then inside the image tag we're going to pull our file path. So again, we need to tell it to look into the images folder and then grab that image. And then we need to tell it width equals 500 pixels. And then one more down here. Inside the image tag, we say source equals images slash 1D. And then again, inside that image tag is where we're going to add that next attribute, width equals 500 pixels. Alright, so now it looks like this. So we're starting to get that formatted. Now we want to set these up so that each of these are links, okay? So what we're going to do is surround each of our image tags with A tags. Remember, A tags are how we set our links. So I'm going to start by surrounding my first one with A tags. And then inside that first opening A tag, we're going to say href equals, and then we want to link to that page. So if we look at our root folder, Our story 1 HTML, which is the first one we want to link to, is in the same folder as our index. There's no subfolders, so we can just reference this by name. And now, if we save that, you can see it's already working. So we just need to do that for the other two. So again, we're going to surround the image with the A tag so that that way it's telling us that this is what's displayed as the clickability for these links. And then we give it our file path and the opening tag. So now, oh, look, we made a mistake. You can see that right now it's trying to say that my heading is also part of the link, and I don't want my heading to be part of the link. So I'm going to take my heading out of the clickable text area and put that above where my link starts. So we have our heading, then our link starts. The clickable part is the image itself. Now it's fixed. Alright, we do that one more time. So under the heading, but around the image, we'll do our A tag. And then source for this will be story 3. And now, if we refresh, all of these should work. Great, so now our index page is perfect, but we want to make sure that we format the other 3 pages so that they look nice when we click on them. So let's go to part 2, which is formatting the other news stories pages. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my other 3 pages in Visual Studio Code. You can see they open up in different tabs. You can rearrange the tabs if you want. For each of these, what we're going to do is we want a heading at the top, we want text that wraps around the image, and we want to insert the image. So right now, it looks like this, it's just the text. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and swap out the P tag for an H1 so that that's a heading. And then we want to insert our image. So we're going to do the same thing. If we look at here, we can see that underneath the heading we have the text, or we have the image and then the text. So let's go ahead and do the image right here. Image. And then we need to pull the source for it. So source equals, and then remember it's going to be inside that images folder. So images / engagement. And then remember we can inside that also set it to be a size with width. Alright, perfect. And then to make the text wrap around the image, what we're going to do is actually add that align left attribute to our image. So right now our text is below it, but if we go to our code and inside here after width we do align equals left. Look at that. Now we've got some image wrapping. So that's all we need to do for that one. Let's go ahead and do that for our other 2. So starting on story 2, go ahead and change the P tags to the H1s so that it has a heading. And then we need to insert our image. So image source equals images / K-pop. Make sure to close that image tag. And then also we want to do a width equals 500 pixels for that. And remember to make the text wrap align equals left. Done. Alright, now you just have to do the last one. So here, again, swap out the heading, the P tags for a heading tag so that we get a nice heading. Insert the image. So image source equals images / 1D. Then we want to do a width of 500 pixels. Alright, and then again, to make the text wrap, we want to do align left, because that pushes that image left so the other thing will float up. Alright, so now, of course, as usual, we want to check to make sure everything works. So this is what it should look like. Once you have everything working, what you'll want to do is just make sure to save all your changes, so make sure they're all saved. And I always like to close everything out first so that I can make sure that there's nothing that's going to get messed up by having a file still open when I zip this. Let's go ahead and make sure we delete the original zip that we downloaded so that we make sure that we're uploading the new one that we've edited. And you can always check to see what the date modified was. And then go ahead and compress it so that we have that new zip folder, and that is what you're going to upload to Canvas.